Welcome to another episode of AYS Fight Club. I'm one half of your prestigious host. I am Daniel Dees. Alongside me, as always, is Matt Bricker. Matt, what is up?
Not too much. Ready for another week of talking.
Right. It was a slow news week compared to last week. Last week, we had a bunch of stuff to talk about, but even a slow news week in the fight world is still a busy week. The main story that's been making its way through the forums, the pages, the headlines is Yoel Romero surprisingly got released by the UFC. Do you think this is the right call?
I mean, if it's to save money, then yeah. Of course, that's not the notion that Dana White and them are going with. You know, it has nothing to do with that, obviously, but I'm sure it's all money driven. If so, then yeah. I mean, lighten it up on your salary cap there a little bit per se. I mean, you're still gonna. You have cards every week. You need that many fighters on your stable, so they'll just cut. At the top where they can save some money. I mean, you still got contender series going on, so you're still hiring fighters. So you can't really use that excuse you're trying to get rid of people when you're, one of your biggest things that you're bolstering right now is your series. And then the Ultimate Fighter coming back. So they're going to replace whatever they cut off. The numbers will still be the same. That's just how I'm looking at it. At the end of the day, they may cut 60, but they're going to hire 60 more. But that monetary difference is going to be huge.
Oh, absolutely. But my only complaint is that we didn't get to see him fight at 205. Like, I would have loved to see Yoel, just a fun fight between Jan and Yoel. I thought that would have been an amazing matchup, but I guess we'll never get to see it now. I thought that they could have saved their 205 division by bringing up either Paulo Costa or Yoel Romero, because those guys are pretty much killing themselves to make 185. But now we'll never get to see Yoel at least try throw his hat in the 205 division. I thought it could work, but I guess not. But we have not seen the last of them. People are chomping at the bit to sign him. It wasn't like that at first. Supposedly, when he first got released, a lot of these promotions like ONE FC, Bellator, WSOF were like, not really going to go that route, but okay. But now all of a sudden, that just this past day, supposedly he's getting offers everywhere. And it seems like he's going to be bare knuckle bound. I'm down for that, to be honest with you. I think that would be some great shit right there. I mean, just seeing that violent big boy go in there, no USADA. So let's see what damage he can do in that.
Yeah, that's the one place I was going to mention was bare knuckle. I mean, it seems perfect for what he needs, help him out. I know he's got the Olympic wrestling pedigree, but that was he's mid 44, 41, 44. So, I mean, he's, built like a monster. I think bare knuckle would be perfect. It's actually rejuvenated a lot of fighters' career. Right. Chase Sherman went there, was able to turn around, get back in the UFC. A lot of them, Beck Rollins, your more hardcore MMA fans knew who she was, but she was never going to win a UFC title.
Right.
And now she's like the queen of bare knuckle, So
the queen of OnlyFans too, supposedly. But anyways, we're not going to go there. That's a completely different discussion for not this show. We're keeping it PG over here. But yeah, I agree. I think bare knuckle has found their poster boy in Yoel Romero. And you brought up that he was an Olympic wrestler. However, his older brother was actually a legit boxer in Cuba. And that's what he came up doing, was boxing, before he discovered that he was a freak of nature at wrestling. And that was before he figured out he was a freak of nature in MMA. So I cannot wait to see. I hope he goes to Bare Knuckle FC. I would love to see what he could do in that.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of good matchups there too at bare knuckle, and like I said, look at the names they brought in, guys like Hector Lombard, things like that. I mean, that's Yoel Romero is that type of fighter. Those are the type of guys that bare knuckle brings in.
Absolutely, and a point that was made last week was, just because you have all this MMA credentials behind you doesn't automatically mean you're going to be successful at bare knuckle. It's a whole completely different sport.
Yeah, I mean, it's not bare knuckle isn't even the same as boxing.
It's really
look at somebody like like Paulie Malignaggi, who went in there with Artem Lobov. I guarantee if that was boxing, Artem would not have beat Paulie.
Oh, hell no.
In boxing, so it's not even the same as boxing. It's a totally different animal. You can't go in there just balls to the wall swinging. You'll break your hands, which is what Charles Bennett does every time he gets in there. He has no self-control in his striking, and he breaks his hand every time. So it's a whole different system.
Yeah, absolutely. And to piggyback off that, I was actually talking to a coworker about bare knuckle FC. He said he'd love to see Floyd get in there. And I'm like, to be honest, Floyd Mayweather get his ass whipped in there because, like Crazy Horse Bennett, there has not been a single fight in Floyd Mayweather's career where he doesn't break his hands early in the fight. And if that's happening in bare knuckle FC, Floyd Mayweather's in for the longest night of his life, and that's a hill I'm willing to die on.
Yeah, and those rings, that square circle of bare knuckle boxing is extremely small. We kind of talked about that with the Tyson Roy Jones thing. This thing is made to be small. It is made so you don't have nowhere to go. You can't, your fancy footwork and movement is not going to help you in bare knuckle. I mean, even when they toe the line, they're a foot apart. It is made for you to get into a phone booth and fight. That is not what Floyd Mayweather wants to do ever.
Yeah, another thing that people sleep on about bare knuckle, when you look at their ropes, those ropes have no give to it. So you cannot lean on those ropes. You lean on those ropes, you're literally leaning against a brick wall almost.
Yeah, they're solid, yeah.
All right, so we have our first guest on right now. Matt, would you like to introduce him?
Oh, you do so good. Go ahead. You got it.
All right,
you're such a great introducer.
Yeah, we got Matt's co-commentator a lot for the Atlas fights.
Yep.
He's a ring announcer, and I like what he says. It's time for action in the main attraction. So, ladies and gentlemen, here is our main attraction for the night. Ladies and gentlemen, Christian Schmidt.
Thanks for having me, guys. It's a privilege. I mean, y'all's setup looks so cool in the back. I mean, the frames and everything. And I'm like, oh, man. Trying to comb my hair and everything. And just wanted to say to Matt and Daniel, thanks so much for having me. Couldn't have happened at a better time with COVID slowing everything down, and Christmas is, upon us now. So, what a great time to sit here and talk to you guys about what I'm passionate about. So thanks for having me.
Oh, anytime, man. Anytime you ever want to come on, just let us know. We'll give you a platform. So, you're a ring announcer. I always wondered, every ring announcer has the little note cards ahead of them. And I've just been wondering, this is just a personal question, like I've always wondered, those cards, do you phonetically spell out those names, like those hard to pronounce names that look like a bunch of alphabet soup that just fell on the floor? And do you all right, I'm going to spell it like it sounds so I don't mess up on this mic? Do you ever?
It's a good question. Through the years, I learned how to deal with that, and mainly what I do is I talk to the promoter and I say, please, can I be there at the weigh-ins so I can get to know the fighters, their trainers, where they're from. And what I do with, modern day technology, I literally walk right up to the fighter after he or she has gotten off the scale, and I will say, can you please tell me how to pronounce your name, where you're from, how you want me to announce you. So the night before, when I'm going over how to, my news and my notes, I check that and then I pronounce it several times. So hopefully I can say it as spot on, just like the way they want to be announced.
That's right. All right, good to know. I always wondered that. How do y'all go? Because I'm a school teacher, and every year at the beginning of the year, I'm getting a new roster of kids, and there's some names I'm getting a little anxiety before hey, it's such and such here. I'm sorry if I mispronounce your name. You're gonna hate me for the first few weeks of school. So maybe I should just go around hey, before I start calling this roll, how do I pronounce everybody's name? Stand up. I just point to the kid. How do I say your name? I think that's a strategy for me going forward.
But just kind of something I learned going along with the territory, and we're lucky to have the cell phones the way we do nowadays, so I can use it and capture that video, so then I can be ready when it comes time to announce them.
Yeah. Do you ever get like the pre-show jitters, or is that something that's gone the wayside?
Well, it depends. If it's my first time at a promotion and all the faces from the promoter to the officials to maybe like if it's like my co-commentator to the fighters, the trainers to the if it's all new, a little bit. But worse than anything is when I'm just not given sufficient information, because it comes and goes. Each promotion is different. Where Matt and I work together, Atlas Fights is run very professional. Glenn Matina Jr., who is a promoter, who definitely knows what he's doing, will hand me a list of announcements to make, the fighters. So I'm very well prepared. And the night before, whether I'm meeting with Matt, poolside to write notes or whatever, or I'm literally just walking outside and I practice in the parking lot. I feel like you hear fighters say, I work really hard, so when the day comes, it's easy work. I feel the same way. The only issue is sometimes I'm given, the information, and then sometimes I'm not. But when I'm given the information, I mean, I've done it enough to where the nerves don't kick in. But if I'm not and I'm running around, and you got to get used to certain things, because I mean, in the MMA and the boxing game, fights get pulled that night, 30 minutes before showtime. Someone taps me on the shoulder. Hey, so and so's fighting. He got sick. He didn't pass this. The commission had pulled him. So that means somebody else is fighting in his place. You got to learn their name or scratch it, or now we reverse this fight with that fight. But it comes with the territory, and that's just the way it works. And just like I said, I mean, some promotions are better than others as far as providing information to the MC before the event starts.
All right. Like between the main event, from the main event to the curtain puller, is there ever a time to where like you feel like there's a tension in the air between two fighters? Because the only people out in that cage are the two fighters, the referee, and you. Like, do you ever feel like the tension, like for a fact, without even really meeting these cats, that these two guys obviously hate each other and we're in for a show? Do you ever get that vibe sometimes?
I can answer that question for him. And I know exactly where he's going.
Yeah. With Cephalou and Peñafiel in the previous Atlas fights, and because what happened at the weigh-in, and the majority of the time, to answer that question, as far as like anything serious and for real and real bad blood, a vast majority of the time, no. There's a mutual respect there that, I mean, kind of like if I were to compete with somebody in anything,
mm-hmm.
I mean, deep down, I'm going to know that, okay, this guy has just as much right to be here as I do. And it's a competition. Just like, my favorite college football team, Texas Tech Red Raiders, and, I'm watching play UT or Oklahoma State University. I mean, I can't legit hate the fans from their side because they have just as much right. Now, sometimes it gets personal. We recently had what I believe was fight of the year in the Gulf Coast region when Jason Cephalou fought Joe the Party Peñafiel, and there was a dust up at the weigh-ins, and there was some jibber jabber, and you could cut that with a knock. And yeah, you saw that coming a mile away. Sometimes it's there, sometimes it's not there. But obviously, this is the fight game, and bad blood sells. This isn't people going to church and singing together, that are going out Christmas carols. You want to sell a fight So that can get encouraged at times. And I mean, we're all aware of those high-profile fights, whether it's boxing or MMA, where they're trying to get at each other or trying to get in that mindset. But the majority of the time, no. When it does happen, it's in the main events because of the hype and the build-up, and the promotion wants to sell it as such. And both guys know the caliber of fight that they're getting into. And so they kind of get to know each other. There could be a backstory, and that's what's always so attractive about this sport. We all love stories. Mm-hmm. And, it could be a rivalry between the two gyms, the two cities, the two states. Could be a personal rivalry over something we don't know about, over a girl or something. I don't know. But yeah, occasionally I can feel it, but it's more towards just like the co-main or main event. Not earlier on with the younger guys that are just getting involved in the sport. They're more just happy to be there and are just focused on winning and not playing mind games.
Mm-hmm. All right, speaking of stories, I was stalking your Facebook earlier to come up with some questions to ask you, and I ran across the post you made on Sunday. And as soon as I saw it, I was like, oh, I'm a fan of Christian right now. You're in the minority with me when it comes to Floyd Mayweather's next bout with Logan Paul. You seem to like that idea.
Well, I mean, the fact of the matter is this. At the end of the day, this is a business. And what it is sells tickets to what sells tickets to what sells tickets. And I mean, if you don't like it, don't watch it.
Exactly.
Don't pay your money. And instead of griping about it or talking about how awful it is, and you're a fan of pro boxing or MMA or wrestling or whatever, talk about something you do like. Talk about a fight that you do want to see. But if you don't like it, don't talk about it. There's so much damn negativity in as far as the public goes. This guy's a bum, or why is this happening, or this is stupid, or I'm not spending my money. Okay, shut up. I mean, no one's forcing you to watch this. The previous event I was at, back on November the 20th, I announced, and Floyd was there. He was sitting right by the ring. TMT was there. I was really excited to announce for Langston Hampton Jr., who's the CEO of Blank Promotions, who is an associate of TMT. So I was treated very fairly by them, by TMT, for what it was worth that evening. And so I became a bigger fan of Floyd Mayweather and what he does. But yeah, it's at the end of the day, it's a business, and if you don't want to watch it, don't watch it. Watch something you do want to watch. And
right. What else is going to be on a Saturday night?
Yeah, and I mean Jake Paul. Or was it Logan Paul?
It's going to be Logan Paul. It's going to be, I think, little brother. I think.
I don't know anything about that.
I don't know.
But like my nieces, I gotta ask them. They're teenagers. Who are these guys? But if that means another audience is gonna want to see it and is doing this, what Floyd says, if it doesn't make dollars, it doesn't make sense. Then it'll make sense. People are gonna watch. People are gonna watch Floyd, whatever he does. There's a reason why he's the pay-per-view king, the TBE. He's brilliant at selling a fight. I guarantee you, everybody that's hateful on this event, you're somehow going to want to tune in. Yep. No matter you say it or not.
Yep.
Conor McGregor, which I actually kind of enjoyed.
I love that event. I love the pageantry leading up to it. I loved it all. Like, I breathe that stuff in. Whatever sells fights, I'm a huge fan of. And you brought up a good point about when you brought up your nieces, how it brings in a new audience. After Jake Paul knocked out Nate Robinson, I teach 7th graders for a living. Had that fight never went down, none of those kids would have talked about Tyson versus Jones. And that's just a simple fact. It brought in a new audience.
Yes.
And the fact that they also mentioned Badu Jack, they meant, like, what would that have ever happened without Jake Paul versus Nate Robinson? Would a 7th grader a 13-year-old be talking about Badu Jack? Hell no. And they wouldn't be talking about the Tyson Jones card. Maybe they would have sat there with their dad and uncle and watched it, but they definitely wouldn't be talking about it on the in the classroom come Monday. So it did bring in that audience. And another point that you made is that how you became a huge fan of TMT after you've been around them and worked with them. And there's something to be said about that, because every time somebody works alongside the money team or been involved with anything the money team's been involved with, they come away a huge fan of Floyd Mayweather, just because he just carries himself so professionally when the cameras are turned off. And that's something that you got to experience. I mean, they didn't cut you a check. You just were just there. They gave you some respect, and now you're a huge fan. So that's just the money team right there.
Yeah, it was a great experience, and just being around them. Unfortunately, COVID did play into the atmosphere, and there wasn't as many people that would have been there if COVID wasn't. This is in Daytona Beach, Florida, and there would have been more people there, but the entourage and seeing him walk in and these big bodyguards and scantily clad women, people in suits wearing gold chains, dressed to the nines, just that in itself, and the fighters when they saw him get there, he had several fighters fighting that night, and you could hear him shouting instructions from.
Because he's like his uncle Roger Mayweather, and his dad too. Like, great minds for the sport. Say what you want about Floyd Mayweather's intelligence outside the ring, but inside the ring, the dude has one of the best boxing IQs in the history of the sport. Am I wrong there?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, a lot of the time, the general public respects the fighters for their toughness, and this, I respect them more for this.
Same.
I mean, you're exactly right with what you're saying. It's more impressive than his speed or his power. His athleticism is his mind. And how he handled his career, 50-0. He never lost a fight, even though some people say he might have lost to Castillo. I don't agree with that, but the first one. Mm-hmm. But I mean, to me, it was hands down 50 fights, and the TBE, the greatest of all time, and it was a lot of fun to be involved in that event, and I'm looking forward to my promoter Lank is going to have a big announcement soon, and working with those guys again.
All right, awesome. Well, we got a question for you from the boss of AYS. Hashtag Ash Christian. Is Khabib really retired? What do you think on this?
Well, thank you, Blake, for the question, and I'm glad on this. Absolutely not.
I disagree, but okay.
He has reached a level so big that right now it's like nobody can touch him. Where else did we see this formula? Floyd Mayweather. He retired twice. So ultimately, what did that mean? It was so much more attractive when he came out of retirement. Khabib's 31?
Wait, what?
Khabib's 31, right?
I think so. I think if not 31, he's like in that range, probably 30, 31, 32 in that range, that ballpark.
No way. The right guy has to come along. Might take 2 or 3 years, but it will sell.
He's 32.
He is 33? Okay.
He's 32.
Oh, 32. I absolutely do not believe Khabib is retired. I put money on it. And when he does come back, Dana White is going to be thrilled. Us as fans are going to be thrilled. And it's going to be very, very attractive. As to who?
Who do you think that is? Because now you say that, a name popped in my mind that I did not think about. I think he's sitting on something. Who do you think it is? I want to see if it matches.
Well, you guys, being where y'all are from.
You think it's Dustin?
Some things would have to happen before that happened, but I mean, as long as Connor's still relevant in any sense, you know how much that would sell. But who's the name you were thinking?
I'm thinking a welterweight, actually. I don't think it's. I think he's waiting for another guy to now because Usman's not going to give him that paycheck because Usman's not a star. Colby Covington's not that star, but there is another welterweight waiting in the wings. He's fighting Leon Edwards very soon. I think if he beats Leon Edwards, he's going to get that title shot. If he wins, I think Khabib's going to move up to welterweight and fight Khamzat Chimaev. I think that will be the name to get him out of retirement and into welterweight.
Yeah, that would be attractive. But are you sure Colby?
I don't think Colby can get him out of retirement. I don't think Colby sells the pay-per-view numbers. I mean, when he main evented against Kamaru that at one time, he didn't sell much of anything.
Well, I mean, he's got a big mouth. He's got that right-wing conservative group where he obviously appeals to those Trump people, and especially right now, just coming off the heels of an election, so obviously 2 years we're not going to be, but I don't know. I mean, it's just going to be interesting to see, but to answer the question, absolutely not. We will see Khabib back. And, like I said, I mean, we'll be happy when we do. It's going to make a good story. Hopefully it'll be, when UFC has their biggest pay-per-view of the year, which is this following Saturday after Christmas. And, we can get that old feel that we got when we had, GSP, when we fought Matt Hughes, a couple of years ago, no weights. And it was so really good and be good for the sport of MMA.
Yeah, but I think it's going to be Khabib, Chimaev, and UFC's first Russian card. That's just probably what's going to happen in my fantasy world, my fantasy booking. That's probably what's going to happen. And I drink a lot, so maybe that's where I got the idea.
UFC's never been in Russia before.
Never ever. I mean, they want to go to Russia. They just need the right card. Dana said. No, actually, it was Sean Shelby that said that. So we want to go to Russia, but we just got to make that right card for it to be worth it. Because you know how the Russians and their athletic commission works. I mean, that's some pretty, I don't want to say shadiness going on, but there's a lot of stuff going on in that athletic commission. So I think they're going to wait for the right card for that. And I think that'll be the fight. Two sons of Mother Russia going at it at welterweight. I would love to see that fight, actually.
Absolutely.
All right, Christian. Do you look at guys like Michael Buffer, Bruce Buffer, and Jimmy Lennon Jr. and you think, I want to replicate something out of their style, or do you just go in there and it's I just want to do me? Do you take anything from them, or it was just this all organically you?
Once again, another great question. I got an excellent way to answer what you just said. In my opinion, and most people's opinion, the greatest announcer of all time is Michael Buffer. Some people prefer Jimmy Lennon Jr. or even.
I'm a Jimmy Lennon Jr. guy. That's just me.
Yeah, it's half and half. But I have to say Michael Buffer. And one night I was up late and I was watching an interview that he did, and he was like, "Sometimes late at night I'm watching and I see other announcers and I don't like to replicate anybody, but I'll see something that they're doing that I like and I'll mark it down to incorporate it into my act." And I went, What? Michael Buffer just said that? A couple years ago, I saw that.
Yeah.
That's what makes him so great. He is constantly being open-minded to, now he's in his mid-70s, and he's open-minded to learning and adapting to other things. He's not just complacent with what he's achieved in the world of, combat sports. He's always looking to evolve. So to answer your question, what do I do? I'd have to put it just like he put it. I DVR all the MMA and all the boxing and in Spanish as well. And I keep that on my DVR, or I will YouTube it. I will look at other countries, other languages, like I said, Spanish. And I observe what those guys that are at that level are doing, and I see if I could incorporate it in my own act. It seems simple. You get up there and you talk with a microphone. And I thought it was up until when I really started taking this craft seriously about 2 years ago when I announced the U.S. Boxing Olympic title. But I was like, I want to evolve into one of the greats. I want to be traveling outside of South Texas where I currently reside. And to do that, you need to observe the presentations of other announcers. I'll see some things and I'll say, I can't believe he just said that. Or this guy fidgets around and he doesn't stand in one spot. Or why does he have a cord on his microphone? Or why is he wearing that? And then sometimes I'll say, wow, that sounded great how he said that. Or that mic looks cool. Or the tuxedo is just bam, popping, and it looks really refined and real dapper. And then I'll say, maybe I should say it like this or like that. It might sound more professional, more presentable. So what I do is I take from as many professionals as I can, and this is just in boxing and MMA. Other announcing sports now, but I see what they're doing right, and then I incorporate it into my own act. I mean, I'm studying Jim Lennon Jr. and Michael Buffer and Bruce Buffer, other guys like Lupe Contreras, Jeremiah Gallegos. I'm a big fan of Dynamite, from Louisiana. He does a great job. Bob Alexander, Mark Guerrero, Discombobulating Jones, a guy named Brandon Lashley, Sonny Franco, Derek Freitag. I'm trying to think of who else. And then in Texas, Thomas Triber, Jeff Houston. I could go on and on and on. I watch them, and I'm just like, okay, he's standing a certain way, just like what I said. But so I incorporate several things, and then I try to make it my own act from studying and studying and studying. And I'd like to say it's made me a better announcer.
That's good.
I got a question.
All right,
Christian. As far as when you announce MMA compared to boxing, I notice a lot of guys that I've seen do both. They kind of have a different approach. MMA is more of like that hardcore, gritty kind of style. Boxing is a lot more traditional. Do you approach it different if you're going into the boxing ring as compared to the MMA cage? Like, okay, I need to pull off of this a little bit. I need to have a little bit more growl here when I do this. Do you have a different style?
Absolutely. Because, in MMA, it's more rowdy. And you're just like, well, it's time. And, you've got Bruce Buffers or, ladies and gentlemen, AJ Fletcher for the main event. And you can really scream. And those fans are rabid. It's a younger demographic in MMA. And, they've been drinking and the people want to, and they want to yell. It's more rowdy, and I can be more enthusiastic. But when it's boxing, when you got like the Michael Buffer and Jimmy Lennon, the classy The refined kind of, ladies and gentlemen, the following contest is scheduled for 12 rounds set to take place in the welterweight division. And you're more, you want to be more appealing and not so overly enthusiastic to where you speak to the audience more calm and quiet. But yeah, MMA is more that rowdy feel to it. So yeah, you definitely have to adapt just to show you belong properly.
We got another question from Blake. He asks, which is harder to call?
As long as I have sufficient information on the fighters, I would have to say it's pretty even. But now that's just wow. I'm learning. Thank you, Blake. But to answer this question a little bit better, if I had to say which one was harder, it would have to be MMA. And you're gonna like this, Matt. For example, Matt and I worked Atlas Fights, not the last event, but the previous event. And every single fight ended in the first or second round until the main event. And so what that meant for me is I was getting up and getting down, we started making jokes about this. It was wham, bam, 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 which the fans obviously love it because it's action, action, action. That's why MMA is so popular, because it is so action-packed. With pro boxing, you could have the first fight a 4-rounder. It goes all 4 rounds. Next fight, a 6-rounder, and then an 8-rounder, and I can be a little bit more calm. Whereas just MMA overall, it has more tendency to be ended on a tap out or a knockout. Compared to boxing, it would be statistically, it would go to a decision more than it would in MMA. So, I mean, if I had to choose which was easier, it would probably be pro boxing, just because I can kind of sit down and get my bearings about myself.
Right.
So kind of piggy. Sorry.
Yeah, go ahead.
Just kind of piggybacking off of that. When you do the commentary and the announcing, it's shifting 2 different gears. How do you? Is there a switch that you just flip? It's like, okay, I gotta kind of do it this way. I know at Atlas you have an awesome color commentator who can kind of hold the reins for you, so you ain't gotta worry about it. You can kind of take your time. I know about Atlas. I don't know about the other people you work with. But I know at Atlas you got a guy that can hold it down. How do you switch gears from that commentating, booming voice to where you're on the, on the headset for the people at home? That's shifting gears like that.
Well, the times that I have done it, and the majority of the time I don't get to do it. So what a blessing it is that Matt, you and I get to do it at Atlas, because we get TV coverage, which is awesome. But the majority of the time I only just announce. When I do it, like when you and I are commentating together, I just make sure that it's known that, I mean, you're the main guy. Like Matt, you're the main commentator. I come and go when I can. So I'm just kind of like on to where it's more your show, more you being the voice. And then what I focus on is just bringing the action and doing the color and the play-by-play, where like the way you do it, Matt, you're giving the story, you're telling the story, and you're telling them the background, human interest story, making the audience identify with the guys that are in the cage. Or in the ring when I do it with pro boxing, so I can maintain that enthusiasm, because I just focus on the bam, it's gonna be over, bang, what's gonna be happening here, and bam, 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 and so that I can keep that enthusiasm.
That's awesome. You have like any like you wake up in the morning on fight day, like I was friends with some theater people in college. Like the day of performance, it's like, don't talk to me. I gotta save my voice. Do you have anything? I wouldn't say like you probably do that, but are you the type that has like this ritual when you first wake up in the morning to get in your announcing zone?
All right, I'm gonna cut you off. I know he does. I'm gonna let him get to it. But all right, he has some kind of odd looking concoction that he drinks on fight day. It is the most vile, disgusting looking container of I don't know what, but he said it works for his voice. It seems to work because he sounds good to the end. But I just had to throw that in there. It looks horrendous. I'll let him continue.
Yes, I mean, Daniel, I try to do that. I sleep in as much as I can because I know that I gotta maintain that energy. Which I mean, for as much as I love it, it is a lot of energy because you gotta put on that facade and that smile and from about 6:30 p.m. to usually sometimes about 11 when you're kind of getting up and down. It takes a lot of energy. So I sleep, and then I try to not speak to anybody. And come time, I get so damn excited that I can't help myself. And we get there at, the arena, wherever it is. Like Matt and I get to Mississippi Coast Cause I can't keep my mouth shut. I'm talking.
We talked the whole way there, and yeah.
And then, the fighter meeting, it's so cool. There's the atmosphere that you just fall in love with it. Even when I maintain my voice, because it is better what you're saying, Daniel. There's a way that when you wake up, your voice sounds more profound and different. And I try to keep that focus. What Master Friendship is, I get a big thing of a tea, mainly green tea, because it's energetic. I mix honey in it because it provides a coat on your throat. I put everything in there from cough drops to everything to where when I drink it, it makes my voice a little bit more thick.
Literally everything is in there.
And I gotta have it right there, poured in. I drink it right before I speak, and so I try to have more of that powerful kind of, like you could tell I drank something. So yeah, that's basically my ritual when I wake up and until the end of the night.
I'm actually kind of curious how that tastes. So put some spiced rum in it, and I'm in. I mean, that sounds like a good concoction right there, my man. Have you ever had what's your I don't like asking this kind of question, but I'm just curious. You ever fumbled on the mic? Had any of those embarrassing moments? Like, oh crap, what did I just say?
I've made mistakes. Have I ever made the catastrophic mistake of announcing the wrong winner or loser? No. I'm very, very, very much focused, and especially when it's the co-main or the main event, I asked the guy who hands me the card, I say, okay, so this guy won, and I look right at him, ask again, so this guy, I'll ask somebody else. Because it's about a week or two ago, a great announcer was announcing the winner, and he said the wrong hometown. And then he said the right hometown and the name of the guy, and he just got torn up on social media. It was on his own, and the guy has this voice of gold. He's a great announcer. But he just got torn up. It hurt. So part of the reason when I say, I get so exhausted by the end of the night is because I do try to sound, I do try to be as focused as I can when I'm up there and I say the right person. Because, I would just feel awful if a guy thought he won and then 30 seconds later, whoa.
Don't want to pull the Steve Harvey.
Yeah. So as far as any mistakes, the notable ones, really bad ones, not to the point where I said the wrong winner. One guy and Corpus Christi in Rock's Extreme Combat. It was the main event, and he was fighting. And beforehand, I said, "Where are you from?" And he said, "Santa Fe." And so when I was doing my whole shtick, I said, "From Santa Fe, Texas," or I'm sorry, New Mexico. I said,
"Santa Fe right there."
Yeah, and he went, and I went and I checked. Why did he give me that look? He's from Santa Fe, Texas, which I never even know existed. And I said,
if someone tells me they're from New Orleans, I'm automatically assuming Louisiana. Exactly. So they said, "No, I'm from New Orleans, Arkansas." I'm like, "That's your fault for not clarifying, homie."
Right.
Yeah, and so I kind of thought the same thing with what you just said, but I mean, like that happened. I maybe announced the wrong referee. According to referee, blah blah blah. Due to a result of multiple strikes, we called a halt. He called to a halt in this contest, and it might be the other guy. And one thing I very much learned is people, they don't like to have the wrong guy announcing for them, or me to announce the wrong name or their name wrong. So I try to be as on top of it as possible. But when it's up there live, and kind of going back to what I said about if it's people that meet for the first time, like it happened in Alabama once, I announced the wrong referee, and he kind of just leaned in and he said, "My name is blah, 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 not blah, blah, blah." And I corrected myself, and the promoter came up to me and said, "Don't worry about doing that. Everybody here's drunk. They don't care anyway." So I was like, "Oh, okay." He goes, "You don't have to correct yourself." And he was right. I just, you got to roll with it sometimes. And the thing that I've learned to do is if I ever do have a gaffe or announce something bad, with the exception of if I announce the wrong guy. But if I do ever commit an error like that, I just roll with it and act like I didn't do anything wrong. Because, these fight fans can be pretty rabid. And if you do make a mistake and you acknowledge it, or you acknowledge that you got mad, or you're angry up there, they're just going to do it worse. And it's going to get worse and worse, and they'll make fun of you and laugh. And if you show that mad face, if it ever happens, I act like I didn't do anything wrong, or I'll laugh about it. And then 30 seconds later, it's never mentioned again. And I've talked to some of the fighters, if that I kind of go on and I just say, "Look, if there's something that's being said in that audience that annoys you or offends you, do not give that person the satisfaction of responding, because once they know that they're in your head, then it's going to be one of those cute contests of, I'm going to say this to them, and somebody else is going to say it, and somebody else is going to say it, and it's going to be a comedy show." But so I mean, I've made errors, but thankfully not yet, and let's hope it doesn't happen. I've never had a catastrophic one where I announced the wrong.
Yeah. A few more questions before we let you go. Is there current fighters, because I'm going to have a follow-up question to this, two current fighters that you would love to announce that are about to go toe-to-toe? Is there any dream matchup you just want to get two guys on the opposite end of the ring, you just want to announce them? If so, who?
In MMA or boxing or both, or
just either or.
As far as you got the local level, and then you got the national level. I'm a big fan of AJ Fletcher.
We just had him on the show recently.
Yep, he was on our show. Yep.
He's undefeated as an amateur. He's undefeated as a pro. And you look at the guy, and you would not be scared at all of him. But after you see him fight, you're scared of him. He's educated, well-spoken, a compliment.
Right.
He thanked me. He goes, "Thanks for the kick," and announcing him anytime. I would like to announce that. You know who I'd like to see him in with, Matt?
Who's that?
The Party Peñafiel.
Yeah.
All right.
That would be a good one. Yeah.
Because
All right.
Definitely. Yeah.
he would be one. Another guy who I've really grown to like, and obviously I'm kind of thinking deep south because I'm talking to you guys, would be Thug Passion, Abear.
Brandon Abear. Yeah.
Neighbor.
That guy,
Violent.
you look at him, and you can't turn if you're a fan, and you just see.
He's got that look, huh?
At the fight we called with Cam Graham, he was throwing like Superman punches and stuff in there.
Turn away. He's so real with how he speaks. It's just a market. I mean, good guy outside the ring. Seinfeld, that fight. Jason Cephalou is another one who trained with American Top Team. I'd have to give it to that. There's Iron Mike Barnett out of Mobile, Alabama, who is and I really like the fact that because I support the blue, I support police officers. So when I see a police officer having success in a cage, it's like, I like it all better. He against either one of them, as far as boxing, MMA goes. It would definitely be those guys that I just named on more of like a UFC level. I mean, obviously, it kind of sounds cliche, but Conor McGregor or someone like Dustin Poirier or Colby's such a personality. Khabib, he'll be back. Or another thing, and I know I would get a lot of heat for it. Because I grew up watching these guys, but Ken Shamrock.
I didn't know that. Hey, I just got finished reading the book. Josh Gross's, not Josh Gross. I forgot who just wrote the book, but yeah, I just read it. That was one of the best fighter books I've ever read. Like I've never seen a fighter biography go that much in depth. So yeah, I'm 100% with you on that with Ken Shamrock.
I mean, I grew up. I mean, he got me hype about MMA in the mid-90s. And he's in his mid-50s, but look at him. I mean, him, Tito Ortiz, those two would be two guys that still possibly could compete. Brock Lesnar, if he's gonna come back and he never does, or someone like Daniel Cormier. Or John Bones Jones, who are the more younger than those Lucas, but I mean that whole surreal feeling of announcing somebody that I grew up watching would be very attractive. That's something I would like to see, and I mean, just like the ones I'm saying now with Atlas does such a great job with building the synergy because they're very active compared to other promotions. Where I've been as a fan or a writer or as an announcer, having a show once a year or twice a year. Atlas is being consistent. And the other one that I was working for, Eminence Promotion by James Mills, he was being active until COVID hit. Southeastern Combat Championships. And they were building a solid fan base in the Mobile area. And they were good. They were doing really well too. But yeah, it would definitely be those guys that I would like to. Those names are the ones I would think now.
That's a good one. Before I let you go, I got one more question for you. This AYS is a college football podcast, so I have a college football question for you. Well, sort of. All right, you say you're a Texas Tech fan. Who would you rather hang out with, Patrick Mahomes or Joe Burrow? This is on behalf of our boss Blake.
Well, I'm going to have to be partial. It will be Mahomes. But I'm also a Burrow fan as well. I think what he did for LSU was awesome. He transferred and everything. And, he seems like a well-spoken, nice guy. And but yeah, I'd have to definitely be faithful to my father graduated from Texas Tech. I graduated from Texas Lutheran University, which is a very small school. But so when it comes to D1 football, I do follow Texas Tech football, and then other Texas teams who are hopefully doing well. I support them. But yeah, I have to say my home. So.
All right, good one. All right, Christian, thank you so much for coming on.
Much appreciated.
Hey man, everyone come back on. Just let us know. But can you do us just one favor? All right, we got our next guest coming up, Dalton Lowe. Can you introduce him for us? This is because he's making his debut pretty soon. You'll be his first person to announce him. Can you do that?
Where's he from?
Ponchatoula, Louisiana. Ponchatoula, Louisiana.
He's Gracie United Team JUCO.
Ponchatoula, Louisiana.
Ponchatoula, Louisiana.
Hold on one second. Let me just write this down. That's what I do. Okay. Ponchatoula, Louisiana. And the name one more time?
Dalton Lowe.
Lowe. How much does he weigh?
He's a welterweight, 170.
All right. All right. Here we go.
Let's do this, Dalton. I hope you're listening.
Coming up next, making his debut on the Are You Serious show, weighing in at 170 pounds from Ponchatoula, Louisiana, Dalton Lowe!
Yes. Thank you so much, Christian. Come back anytime you want, man.
Yes. Thank you, buddy. Appreciate it.
Loved it. All right.
Thank you, man.
I will.
All right, you heard the man. Up next, Dalton Lowe. Dalton, I hope you like that, brother.
that was pretty sweet. Not gonna lie.
Yeah. Hey, welcome to the show.
Thanks, man.
Dalton. Yeah, Professor Matthew Stock hit me up and said you got to get Dalton on. He's about to make his debut. I was sitting there watching your Instagram, some of your training footage. Man,
oh God,
that's so old. But man, I gotta tell you though, like I would never have guessed you're in high school still.
Really? I was probably like 14 or 15 in
like
some of those videos.
Or a sophomore.
Yeah, that was a while back. I haven't.
But no time. I can't wait
to
see you in action though.
Appreciate it, man.
Yeah.
I can't wait.
You're a senior in high school. You don't do any other sports, do you?
No. I don't really have time, especially with like working at the gym and everything. It's like, up until this year, it was as soon as I was getting out of school, I was like changing clothes and everything, going straight to the gym, and I wasn't getting home until like 9 o'clock. So, this has really just been what I've been doing since I was a kid.
Man, that's impressive. And when I was talking to Matthew Stock about you, I was like, man, just a senior in high school just walking around. So, he must be a lady killer. He was like, he has that girlfriend in college. She'd whoop them all.
Yeah.
So that's awesome, dude. So, yeah, you're obviously in high school. You're fixing to make your debut. Do your classmates know that you got this fight coming up, or are you just keeping it hush-hush?
I've talked to some of my close friends about it, or just like friends here and there, but it's not something I like walk around telling everybody. But
smart move. Because I know I'm a teacher. I know how kids are. I have some kids who train jiu-jitsu, and they have kids. Oh, can you tap me out? I'm sitting here thinking in the back of my mind, absolutely he could. So I'd hate to see you up in Danny Strickland's office explain to him, look, they came up to me trying to test me. I'm glad that you're not walking around with the puffed out chest. Yeah, man, I'm an MMA fight. So that's good on you, man. So you're obviously making your debut. I mentioned that before. What are you most concerned about walking into that cage? Like everybody has that one concern. Like if it were me, I'm concerned about am I going to implement my game plan? There's some other guys I don't want to get embarrassed. Some other guys are like, well, I don't want him shooting in on me. I'm not confident in my decision. Obviously, don't have that worry. Not like the Gracie guys don't have that worry. Yeah, please shoot in on me. You cannot pass my guard. So, especially if you're training under Matthew, if that guy could pass your guard, then shame on you.
Yeah, yeah. Honestly, man, I don't know. I've been mainly trying to keep a clear mind about it. I haven't really been
I'm not trying to fog your head or anything. I'm just
yeah. I just haven't really been focusing in on things to be real concerned about. But I mean, everybody has their fears. Like, yeah, it's gonna be a little nerve-wracking walking in there, especially being the first time and everything. But there's nothing really specific that I'm worried about, you know?
Yeah. So you're obviously training with Stock. Who else is going to be in your corner? Have you been training with Kurt Hollabaugh?
Yes. So I train Monday through Thursday in Hammond with Matt on Tuesdays and Thursdays, and Professor Raphael on Mondays and Wednesdays. And then on Fridays, I usually drive up to A-Meet, and I'll do that open mat class with them and just get a bunch of good sparring rounds in. And yeah, it's really good work up there training with them. I really enjoyed doing it. So
yeah. So you're obviously there with Professor Raphael. I just noticed that he just lost a ton of weight. Back when I used to roll with him, dude, he was a big boy when I rolled him. Now he's big sexy now. And he ain't gonna forget it either, because he knows
he dropped it quick too. Like it surprised me. Like, and dude, looking at him after losing all that weight, it's almost scary. Like, he looks insane. Like he can do some damage, you know.
Man, I was sitting there looking at his pictures recently. I haven't seen. Last time I actually saw him was the John Jones Dominic Reyes card, and
really?
Then I saw the pictures on Facebook. And I'm like, holy crap, he's scarier looking. How's that possible?
Yeah,
he's not big boy. He's just big sexy.
Yeah.
So yeah, but to go back to training with Kurt, what is your main difference training with Matthew and Kurt?
With Matt, a lot of times, so the only days I ever really train with Kurt is, like I said, for that open mat class. So whenever I go up there, it's me and just a bunch of killers, and
dude, that ain't
usually yeah, we'll just like get a little warm up in, and then we just spar until
Puke City,
we're done. Yeah. And then
that bike?
Huh?
Has Kurt ever put you on the bike?
Oh no, thankfully he hasn't. But he definitely has tagged me up quite a bit.
Don't feel ashamed. He has victimized me one too many times in my life. I don't really want to talk about it because I don't want to give Kurt that satisfaction watching. I love Kurt though. I love him to death.
Yeah. But as for the difference goes, it's like, so for whenever I drive up to A-Meet and I'm training with Kurt and them, that's just hard sparring rounds, just getting work in, getting tired. But for like the MMA classes with Matt, it's more of it depends on what like we're doing, because we have more women in that class, or like people who aren't looking to like train like they're about to get in the cage. They're just like wanting to get a workout. So it depends. Like sometimes recently, especially since I've got this fight coming up, he'll like split the class into two groups or whatever, and he'll have certain people doing this over here, and then he'll have just a bunch of people murdering me over here. And like sometimes we'll spar, sometimes we'll just do like some Shark Tank rolling and sparring.
Dude, Shark Tank's a honk boy. I tell you what.
Yeah. not fun.
All right. So at what point did you decide I want to fight? And what, like, how, like, you go up to your parents and you're like, hey, I know I'm still not old enough to vote, but hey, can you sign this waiver for me to get step in that cage? Like, what was their reaction when you told them I want to fight at 17?
Well, I've been wanting to fight since I was probably like 11, something like I always wanted to. But
yeah, man, you have passion. That seems like then.
And then like I think my freshman year in high school, I was talking to Kurt about it, and I was trying to get like a little minor boxing match, seeing if I could do that or something, but that never panned out. And then Matt just texted me one day, and he was like, "Hey, how do you feel about fighting in October?" And I was like, "Let's do it." But yeah, the reaction from my parents was kind of funny because it was like my dad was like, "Yeah, go for it." And my mom wasn't too happy about it.
Just like like I have a wife in there in the other room. I have a little 2-year-old boy who will just walk up to me at random like fight, and I'm like, "See, he wants to fight," and she's like, "He ain't doing it." So it's good that your mom's actually letting you though. But yeah, I'm with your dad on that. Hey,
it took some convincing, but
you probably owe her big time. So thank your mama for everybody.
Yeah.
So, what's like your mindset? Like, when is your fight, by the way?
December 19th.
December 19th. So we're 2 weeks away from this. It's right before you get out for Christmas break too. So look at that. Yeah. So the best part about that is you ain't got to worry about your weight going into Christmas break. So your fight's over, just enjoy it. So where's your mind at right now?
What do you mean exactly?
Like, are you more nervous? Are you pumped for it? Like, what's going on?
For me, it's always been like, for example, with jiu-jitsu competitions or anything, my nerves don't really set in until I'm there. Like, yeah, I know what's happening, and there's a little bit of nerves, but I'm not like freaking out, you know.
Right. I know exactly what you mean. Because going to those competitions, like the week of competition and driving to the competition, I'm like, yeah, let's do this. I'm ready to like smash some things up and like get my wrist locks, get my chokes in. Let's do this. And then as soon as I walk in the gymnasium and I see all the mats, I see everybody, I'm like, oh boy, and that's it. But
yeah, for me, I'm like I'm even calm while I'm there, and I like stretch out and everything.
Yeah, it's like a calmness. You're calm on the outside, but the inside it's just like, okay, you could do this, you got this, and you're running over some scenarios in your head. Do you go through the same thing when you compete?
Well, for me, like I'll usually put some headphones in or whatever, and I'll listen to some music and stretch out, and I feel fine. I feel normal, and it's like as soon as I step on the mat, that's whenever the nerves like start to kick in, and then we shake hands, and the second we start rolling, the nerves just go away, and it's just
Absolutely
instinct from there.
I know it's just instinct from then on. It's just you do this, I'm gonna do this. I do this. You better hope you don't do this because if you do, that's it.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
So, who's your opponent? Do you know?
Luke Saxon.
What's his record?
0-1.
0-1. Okay, so a debut versus. Speaking of the handsome devil himself, Matthew Stock. He is calm because he's prepared, well-rounded, and a finisher. Good job, man. I like that comment. Yeah, he has faith in you. And if Matthew has faith in you, I 110% have faith in you and myself, man. And I went back. Let's go back to your high school. Does your teachers know you're fighting?
No.
Because I have a student who actually does a lot of jiu-jitsu competitions. He actually trains at the Ponchatoula gym. And, like, when he goes competes again, once they're all back up and running in this area, I said, I'm going to come watch you compete. And he's ready for it, dude. He's psyched for it and everything. So I guess that's just me knowing that he's a grappler and I know exactly where he's come from. Because his other teachers are, oh, my God, he can't be doing that. He's too nice of a kid. But what would your teacher's reaction be if they knew you had a fight on December 19th?
I'm not sure, honestly. I never really thought about it. I don't know. It's just never really something it doesn't come up, you know. And I'm not really the kind of person that would like forcefully bring it up.
Right. So, okay. I kind of like the humbleness of you. It's like, but I ain't gonna lie. I guess I'm just a showman like that. If that was me, I'd be telling everybody in my high school, you better tune in, pay the online price, watch me. Because I already know how Danny Strickland would react. He'd probably call you in his office and say, you better not go out there and make a mockery of this school or show your ass or whatever, because he's kind of a hard ass.
Yeah, I don't even think he's the principal anymore. Like, I'm pretty sure.
I think I'm over at Ham.
Yeah, I don't know. I think it. Yeah, we have some lady changed like this year.
Okay, I thought Danny Strickland was still there. So hey, maybe because like I said, Danny Strickland was kind of a stick in the mud when it came to funds. So I don't think he would have approved it. But hey, good job for getting out of that situation. I love Danny though. I don't think he remembers me, but hey, who cares? So Dalton, you're obviously this new breed of fighter, people who have grown up post Ultimate Fighter era. Well, you're born in when? What year?
2003.
2003. Okay, so your Ultimate Fighter debuted, Matt, in when? 2006?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah.
2006. So you pretty much came up with the this sport when it became super mainstream. Who was that one fighter that you watch and you're like, this is what I want to do? Who was that fighter that made you think that?
Honestly, it wasn't really a specific person. It was just watching it.
Okay.
Whoever.
Were there any fighters you looked up
to? I've always enjoyed watching Cody Garbrandt and TJ Dillashaw.
So those like the lighter fighters, like because they got that stand up, they're very fluid in their stand up. Okay, so I get that. So are there any fighters? Go ahead.
Oh, I was just gonna say, a lot of the fighters that I really enjoyed watching were all like 145, 155ers, but I never really got into or never really was as interested in the heavy fighters, and I always wanted to fight at like 155-ish, but I mean,
respect. I mean, people want to go down to those weights because it's not like the pageantry weight. It's not like your weight right now. You're in the premier division for MMA. Like if you're MMA welterweight, like that's the royalty division, in my opinion. So you're in the perfect division. So it's very, I wouldn't say it's weird hearing that, but it's like a one of a kind answer. Nobody ever said, yeah, I love the bantamweights. I love the featherweights or the flyweights. So, hey, props to you for being honest about that, because not many people would have said that they enjoyed the bantamweights.
Yeah, man. And honestly, like Mighty Mouse, love watching him fight. It's entertaining.
Who doesn't love watching?
He's a beast. But it's just that's what I've always enjoyed watching. A lot of action,
Yeah. So you don't have that current fighter right now that you're like, this is a style I want to emulate. So you don't have any of those guys in your mind? Like you watch a guy who's like, ooh, I want to do what I like the way he fights. So I want to try to fight like him a little bit, but not stray too far away from who I am. Because like if I were an MMA fighter, I see guys who are like, who have their movement down, like guys who move like Stephen Wonderboy Thompson. I love watching him, the way he just moves around the cage. But I'm an ultra heavyweight. I can't move like that. I move like that, I'm gassed within like a minute. So I obviously can't do that. So are there any guys like that who you see fight? You're like, I kind of want to be like that, but at the same time, I can't really stray too far from who I
am. Yeah, honestly, it's like different per like it depends on what you're talking about. So like if say we're talking about kicks, like obviously McGregor, beautiful kicks. He's
especially that front kick to the body. Like, he's so pinpoint. That front, as soon as he puts that ball of his foot in somebody's gut, I just get a little goosebumps. So yeah, I get what you mean with kicks.
And you know, some styles that I admire aren't really MMA either. Like I love boxing. It's I enjoy watching it. I enjoy doing it. I don't know if you've ever heard of him or not, but Josh Kelly, he's a boxer. Love his
Absolutely.
style. He's
Okay.
very, very fluid, great on his feet, great with the head movement, quick, and I enjoy watching him. I like playing around with his style sometimes when I'm sparring or whatever, but I don't know. I kind of take a little bit of everything and try to mix it into my game, and I feel like it makes my style mine, you know?
Yeah, I respect that. So I like that you said Josh Kelly. I'm surprised somebody your age knows who Josh Kelly is. So that's
Oh, yeah.
bonus points to you, man. So you grew up watching MMA. You grew up watching boxing. Obviously, you know who Josh Kelly is. Are there any other combat sports out there that you do get into? Because I know a lot of people get into the K1. A lot of people watch some Muay Thai. Are there any other combat sports you like and enjoy?
Honestly, I like to branch off into everything, and not just, well, like, for example, MMA is a good mix of everything, but on some things it'll only touch up lightly on. So like, I like to maybe branch off into a little bit of wrestling here or whatever. Like, I train with this absolute killer. His name's Tanner. Amazing wrestler. And a lot of times after class, I'll just tell him, I'll be like, come on, let's wrestle. And we'll just go, because I'm still trying to. I haven't taken him down yet, but it's coming. I'm gonna take him down one day. But
hey, if you can dream it, you can achieve it, man.
Dude's a beast. He wrestled in college. Insane at what he does. But I also like branching off into other stuff, like boxing, for example, working more head movement and working on timing and stuff like that. Muay Thai or just regular kickboxing styles are a little bit different, with maybe like your weight distribution on your feet, or how you move around, how you throw your kicks, stuff like that. And I just like to look at all of that, and I'll branch off and focus on one thing for a little while and try to strengthen up my game on that, and then go back or focus on something else and just work it. And kind of like, almost like a puzzle. You just slowly build it piece by piece, making it stronger, making it more full, you know?
All right. When you're training, and is there anything like a drill or something that when Matthew says, all right, we're doing this, that in the back of your head and you go like, oh, this drill sucks. I hate this. What drill is that?
Yes. It's not really a drill. It's more, so we have these speakers throughout the Hammond gym, and I always hook my phone up and I'll play the music or whatever. And then every once in a while, he'll look at me and he'll be like, I want you to go on YouTube and look up Bosch Rutan Muay Thai rounds, 7 3-minute rounds or something like that. And it's this stupid video, and it plays over the speakers, and it like, you basically follow the video with the combinations you're throwing on the bag or whatever, or you're shadow boxing, or sometimes he'll walk around and hold mitts for you. And it's just like, every time he says it, even if it's not me doing it, like, so we'll be teaching with the kids classes, and I'll like put on a little bit of music for the kids class or whatever, and then he'll look at me and he's like, can we actually do the Bosch Rutan? And I'm like, dude.
All right, Matt, you heard that? He hates it, so you should do it more now. That was a trap question. So now he knows that you really hate it. He's going to do it as like punishment now.
Yeah.
All right. So, but that's actually a cool little exercise. Now that you mention it, like, that's something I kind of want to implement in my garage gym. Like when I'm on the bag.
No. Yeah, like, don't get me wrong. It's great work. It's a great workout. It takes a while. It'll get you tired, but dude, it sucks. Like, it sucks.
I mean, hey, if it sucks, it's working on you. So
yeah.
So that's awesome. So do you have any sponsors? Yeah or no?
No.
All right, so no sponsors. So Dalton, that's why you do it, exactly. He he is watching. He knows you don't like it, so therefore he's going to do it more. So Dalton, thank you so much for coming by. I can't wait for December 19th to see you in action. I'm going to be watching. Anything you want to say before you get up out of here? Anything you want to plug?
No, man. Thanks for having me. It was fun. I enjoyed myself.
All right, man, you're young. You're getting started super early in your career. I can't wait to start following it more. So, Dalton, thank you for coming on, man.
Thanks for having me.
All right, man.
All right. See you.
All right, so that was Dalton Lowe. So go please check out his fight December 19th. Matt, are you calling that fight?
I'll be there. I don't know if I'll be calling it. I know it's Empire FC 8.
All right. Empire
It's actually it's a back-to-back thing. Empire FC 7 is the night before Friday. So I'll be in Biloxi both nights. It's this by UFC is in association with the first one, so I'll definitely be calling and heavy involved in the Friday card. The next one is the Empire card, so it's like Empire 7 and 8 back-to-back nights.
All right. So, question: when you do you ever wear hats when you commentate?
No, I don't. I wear, I got my vest and my bow tie
I
on.
wanted to put that comment up there. I've been waiting for an opportunity to put that comment up there. I actually dig the hat, man. I love that.
She hates the hat. That's why I didn't have it on today. I said, you just got to wait and see which hat I'm going to wear.
That's all. I actually like it. You're welcome, Matt. Hey, anytime you need more guys on, we'll be happy to put them on, give them a platform, man. Thank you so much, Matt. All right. So what else is on the menu for tonight, man? What do we got? Oh, yeah. Rumble Johnson. All of a sudden, he's back for some reason.
Yeah.
In Bellator. I could have sworn if he told me Rumble Johnson's come back, I thought he'd return back to the UFC 205 division. Such a shallow division. I thought it would have been right for the picking for him. But no, he's going the Bellator route. What'd you think of that?
Yeah, I don't know. They may be throwing the money his way. I know he was a part of the BFC, the bare knuckle. I don't know if he was just a figurehead or something of it, but I guess he was ready to get back into it. And
I thought he was going to bare knuckle too for a moment.
Yeah,
I thought that'd been awesome. Oh, that'd been great to see Yoel versus Rumble and bare knuckle.
Yeah, but I guess Bellator was throwing the money his way.
That's the beauty of it. The tackier, the better. When I first saw that news, Rumble Johnson signs with Bellator, my first thought was, man, somewhere Ryan Bader shit his pants and he doesn't know why. Yeah. So I'm super excited about that. But so we're probably going to get Rumble versus Phil Davis. That has to be the fight to make when he first comes in. What do you think?
Yeah, I mean, he's only going to need a fight or two to go for the title. If he wins coming out the gate, man, he's right there in title contention.
Oh, awesome. All right, so let's break down the UFC 256. Let's break down KSW 57. I was looking at that card today. I was like, oh, boy, that is a stacked jack card. All right, so let's go ahead and let's just do the main card for 256. Let's go ahead and say what's on the prelims. Prelims, it's starting off with Chase Hooper. Love Chase Hooper against Peter Barrett. Haven't watched much of Peter Barrett. I'm going to be honest with you on that, but Chase Hooper is somebody to watch. Then we got Tisha, the Tiny Tornado Torres versus Sam Hughes. That'll be a fun one. We got Renato Moicano versus Rafael Fiziev.
Fiziev, yes.
That's somebody you must have.
Yes, I actually did an article on him before he even made it to the UFC. He's one of my prized guys that I talked to before he was even made it. Huge in the Muay Thai, world. He trains at Tiger Muay Thai in in Thailand.
Like I'm a huge. As soon as I see somebody who's fighting on the UFC card that I never heard of, and all of a sudden his gym is Tiger Muay Thai, I'm like, oh yes, I can't wait for that one.
He teaches classes there. I mean, this dude he's amazing. I think he's 2-1 in the UFC. Lost that first one coming in, but since then, his last
Mark Casey.
Yeah, Mark Casey was the last one, and he did the whole Matrix thing where he,
yes, I couldn't watch. That's where I know that cat from because not even the Matrix thing against Casey, but there was like this Muay Thai fight, this kickboxing fight where he just the foot just flies past.
It
just looks at him like, that was a dumb thing you did. Why would you do that?
It was a Muay Thai fight. It was like the Toyota Cup in like 2000. I don't remember, 15, 16 or something like that. Yeah, but man, I've been on this dude for a while. I even wrote about him before he even got into the UFC. I always called him the Muay Thai Matrix. Dude is just
that's a good nickname.
Absolute amazing athlete. I actually talked to him today. He's doing good. He's feeling good. Weight was on point. He feels great. He's ready to go. So, man, I've been a fan of this dude from day one. He's definitely, keep your eye on him for sure.
Yeah, I guess Moicano, dude, that's gonna be
that's gonna be an amazing fight. Yeah,
I can't wait for that fight. And that's one of the free fights. So if any of you watching don't want to pay for this card, hey, watch this one.
Watch. Yeah.
This is the one to watch, and it's
Absolutely.
free. I can't wait for that one. And for the prelim main event, we got Cub Swanson versus Daniel Pineda. That ought to be fun too.
Yeah.
Right? I've never seen a boring Cub Swanson fight. All right, so let's go ahead and get into the main card and give our predictions. First fight up, Junior Dos Santos, former heavyweight champion versus Cyril Gane. Game, whatever. Frenchie. He's a bad dude, though.
Oh, beast. Yeah.
Crap. So I think this is going to be Junior Dos Santos' last fight in UFC. I think Cyril's going to whoop him badly. So what do you think?
Yeah, absolutely. I think he's like 6-0 as a pro. Still very early in his career, but this dude is a monster if you've seen him. I mean, he's just a beast. I mean, he's a young guy. I mean, he is your prototypical new heavyweight, what you want to see in a future fighter. I mean, he's gonna. Yeah, I think he's definitely gonna handle Dos Santos.
And people you're not watching, go Google him. The dude's got some trap muscles from hell. Oh wow, that's gonna be a fun one. But I'm not counting Junior Dos Santos out too much. The dude still has a lot of dynamite in his hands. Our next fight, we got Kevin Holland versus Jacare Souza. Who do you like in this one?
As long as I can remember, Jacare has always been a favorite of mine. I've always loved Jacare. Man, but this is gonna be a hard one. Holland is he's 4-0 this year. He's going looking for win number 5 just in 2020. Jacare has lost his last couple of bouts, but they were at light heavyweight, so he's coming back down, to middleweight. Right. Man, but it just takes you to blink 1 second for Jacare to catch you in something. If you look at a lot of people's list of the best fighters to never win a title, a major title like UFC title, he's at the top of everybody's list.
And he's like one of the best jiu-jitsu guys who've ever stepped in the
absolutely.
UFC.
He's one of the best jiu-jitsu practitioners to ever step in the MMA cage ever. I mean, he's definitely at the top of that list.
I mean, just the top 3 jiu-jitsu guys of all time to ever. He's definitely top 3. You could shuffle around between him, Verdum, and Maya, and I wouldn't be mad at you.
Yeah, absolutely. And with a guy like that, even being, in higher up in the age, it just takes a second for you to mess up and him to just grab a limb or something. And Holland, younger guy, he's pretty aggressive in his style. It just takes him to get overconfident for 1 second for, Jacare to catch him. Just because of, the love I have for Jacare is just the old school style, in me. I'm going to go with Jacare because I think it just takes 1 second. And Holland, he could be over aggressive. I think he could just overstep one time. And Jacare is the one guy that can catch you on your mistake.
Absolutely. So I'm going to go with Jacare as well on that one. Kevin Holland, he actually lost to local boy Brendan Allen by a rear naked choke. So no disrespect to Brendan Allen's jiu-jitsu game. The dude's a legit ground fighter.
Yeah,
but if Brendan Allen's catching you, sure as shit, Jacare Souza is getting you to.
Put you to sleep.
I got the Gator on this one. So this ain't for the Florida Gators. This is for Jacare, baby. So our next fight, we got Virna Jandiroba versus Mackenzie Dern. I don't really care about this fight. Mackenzie Dern, beautiful woman. I have all the respect in the world for her dad, Megaton Diaz. Dude's one of the best grapplers of all time, one of the original jiu-jitsu guys in the world. I just think they're propping up Dern to make a run. They want that pretty face in the women's division, as always. They want that Paige. They want that Ronda, that Holly Holm, that Miesha Tate. So I think this is an easy fight for her.
Yeah, I mean, if it stays on the feet, I think Dern has a little bit better advantage. Novirna is a little bit awkward on her feet, but she's a dangerous black belt too. I mean, most of her wins
Right.
have come by submission. You know,
Right.
she's no slouch on the ground. If it goes to the ground, it could be interesting. But
I
typically,
think Dern has it just because she's like, if you could beat Gabby Garcia in a jiu-jitsu match, that's a good damn barometer to see where your ground game is. Because Gabby
yeah.
Garcia is a beast.
Typically in MMA, when you have two solid grapplers, they strike. Typically, when you have two solid strikers, they end up kind of grappling. So when you kind of get that, you kind of respect the other one. So I think it's going to be more of the stand-up because they're not going to want to, even though it's their comfort zone, it's their opponent's comfort zone too, and that's what you have to balance out. So I think it's going to end up being more of a striking, just a very boring striking affair to where Dern will end up getting the decision.
Yeah. Also, our co-main event. This should have been a main event on its own card. We got Tony Ferguson versus Charles Oliveira. Before we get into that fight, Tony Ferguson recently just let it all out. Like going off on MMA journalists everywhere saying, y'all never spoke up for me when I got passed over for title fights and blah, 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 blah. What did you think of that? That was very bizarre. I never heard a fighter blame MMA media. Like, that's a first.
I mean, he's kind of out on his own, wavelength. He always has kind of been. He's always kind of beat to his own drum. And if the media hasn't supported him, I don't know who has. I mean, the hardcore fans, the hardcore media have always pushed for him to get the fights. We've always wanted him to fight Khabib. Even after it fell out 4 or 5 times, we're still the ones calling for it.
That's the most cursed matchup in a long time.
And we're still begging for more punishment. We're still asking for it. So I don't know. I mean, he's just kind of out there on his own thing. I know he was also saying too, if Oliveira didn't make weight, he wasn't going to fight him. I mean, he just kind of beats to his own drum. He's just kind of his own.
Yeah, he's an enigma. That's for damn sure. He's like a Diaz brother, but from Bizarro planet, if you ask me. Yeah. But I have all respect in the world for Tony Ferguson, and I kind of feel where he's coming from. Like, it's like, yeah, like y'all all want me to fight for this title, but when it is time for me to fight for the title, y'all don't say anything. So I kind of get where he's coming from for that, but I just thought it was like really, you're blaming the media for this? Not all the time. Call it what he is. He is weird as hell.
Oh, absolutely.
Dude.
Absolutely.
If you want proof of how weird Tony Ferguson is, go watch some of his training videos. I've never seen a guy get up on a yoga ball and do squats with a bar on his back. That's like, I'm thinking there's no way in hell any normal person on planet Earth can do that without tearing something. And he's never injured himself training. All his injuries has come from like a freak accident. Like one injury was him stepping over like
tripped over a cable cord.
Cable cord. Yeah. Tony Ferguson. But that being said, across from him in the cage is Charles Oliveira. Like, that dude is on the best run of his career.
Yeah.
But what people don't forget about Charles Oliveira is that the dude is super young. He's only 31, and he has all his UFC experience. Like, he debuted in the UFC when he was like, I want to say like he was probably 19, 20 years old maybe when he debuted. That's how long he's been here, and it's just absolutely bonkers that he's been there, because it seems like he's been in this league for damn near ever, but he's super young though. But his last bouts were Kevin Lee, Jarrett Gordon, Nick Lentz, David Tamer, Jim Miller, Christos Giagos, and Clay Guida. The dude is just tearing through and finishing everybody. So, and especially when he fought Kevin Lee, he made Kevin Lee look damn ridiculous. So, who do you like in this one? You like Oliveira or you like Ferguson?
Yeah, I mean, it's easy to kind of get left behind in the lightweight division because when you have names at the top like, Connor and those kind of names, it's easy for somebody like Oliveira who's on a really good run. If he was in any other weight division, he'd be the talk of the town. So I mean, it's easy for something like that to happen.
This would be a damn interim title fight.
Oh yeah. I mean, if he did this in any other division, he would be, he'd be on the pedestal. Mm-hmm. But it's just, the lightweight is just, an amazing division right now. Man, I don't know. I'm actually going to go with Oliveira because I don't know. Tony just I don't know. It's one of those instinctual feelings that I just think Oliveira, he's been on a good run. I mean, he's got the most submission victories in UFC history.
Finishes, not just submission.
Yeah.
Just finishes across the board.
So,
he's tied with Cerrone.
Yeah. I mean, the guy, he gets it done, and he's always been, like I said, he's always been, second fiddle to, whoever, Conor and Khabib and all these other guys, and he's always been in the background, but he's always been doing his thing, and he's, so it's got to come to a head at some point. I mean, this guy's legit. I mean, he's a very dangerous finisher. He's very dangerous submission. Tony can do the same thing too. He's known for his dart strokes, but I mean, Oliveira is a very dangerous, ground fighter, and I just have a feeling that he's finally going to get his due, and if he can get this win, it's going to change everything in that division.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to go against you. I'm going with Tony, but I don't feel super confident in that pick just because of all the damn damage he took last fight against Justin. Like, I don't feel confident in that pick. I just think Tony Ferguson is just more well-rounded than Oliveira, and I just think he's a safe pick.
He is. And Ferguson, his mindset always bothers me because I never know. He like Blake said, he's weird as hell. He really is, and you kind of have to be on a different spectrum to get into this sport. So everybody's weird to an extent, but when you're weird for what it is, like I was in law enforcement for several years, and when they make you take, these tests, and it's to see if you're quote unquote normal. And for law enforcement, you have to be on a different part of normal. Like, you're normal for law enforcement, but you're not normal as a human person.
I come from a family of cops. I know that.
It's a different scale. You have to be a different breed of person to do something like that. And MMA is the same way. You have to be a different breed of person to get punched in the face and want to punch somebody in the face.
Mm-hmm.
So you have your own scale over here, but then Ferguson is like, takes it another.
That's right. Blake was a cop. I forgot about that. He was sheriff's
we work
officer.
together. We work together. Yeah.
Oh, that's true.
Yeah. So I mean, it's just MMA is the same way. You're already off the scale in general, but then Ferguson is like a whole nother. He's like the crazy to the crazy. So you just never know how somebody like that's going to come into it, and it worries me about his mindset. I'm really kind of concerned for. I know he had some serious issues, mental issues here not too long back. With his wife and things like that. Where he had some serious issues that he had to try to work on, but I don't know.
All right. Main event time. We got Davison Figueiredo. Figgy. Short turnaround against Brandon Moreno.
Both of them, yeah.
Both of them. Very short turnaround. I dig it. I ain't going to lie to you. I'm picking Figgy in this. How about you? All right, so you're fit with it.
Yeah.
Here's my question, though. If Figueiredo wins this, is he fighter of 2020? Or would you give that to Izzy for beating Yoel and then just completely destroying Costa?
I mean, it's going to be close.
Or it could be Schmidt fighter of the year. Hell, right about him. Who would you give it to? If given that tomorrow night Figgy wins, who are you giving fighter of the year to?
I'm on that Shemaev train. I'll give him Rookie of the Year. I'll give him Fighter of the Year. Oh, speaking of that, we got to talk about our AYS, awards before we go.
Yeah, we got that.
And I'll give it to but I mean, a lot of it you got to take into. A lot of people are saying Kevin Holland too if he wins 5 wins, but you got to look at the level of competition. Yeah, you got to look at the level of the competition. And when you're Figueiredo, you're going in and out defending a title, in and out.
Yeah.
He fought last month.
If he wins, I'm giving it to Figgy. If he loses, I'm giving it to Izzy.
Yeah, and I'm with you because if you can go in and out as the champion, you already got that target on your back. You're fighting the best that the UFC has, in and out, and you win. Consistent. Like they both fought on the same card like last month. And, they're back right in there. So if he can get in there and finish somebody like Brandon Moreno, I mean, I could definitely see, somebody like Figueiredo walking out with the Fighter of the Year, especially with just kind of how odd this year has been in general anyway for fighting.
And Blake has a good point. He did call Yoel out. He did call out Costa. Champions rarely call out their opponents, and that's something Izzy did.
Yeah.
And like I said, though, but you got to think, Figgy came in, beat Benavidez back-to-back. And
twice, yeah.
He just fought Alex Perez, tough guy, and he's
Very
fighting Moreno in
Moreno.
2 weeks, 3 weeks. So it's going to be an interesting conversation if Figgy wins. I'll probably give my 2020 fight of the year to Figgy if he wins, but if he loses, it's definitely going to Izzy with Shamaya as honorable mention.
Yeah, it's the thing with Leon Edwards kind of fell. I know they both ended up catching COVID, and I guess Edwards is having some more side effect issues with it. But yeah, I mean Shemaev, I'm on that train. I've been on that train.
But they're fighting in January, so hey, I'm all about that. All right, so let's move on to our last event. I'm gonna let you take the lead on this one. This is your baby. This is KSW. I don't even know what KSW stands for. I know it's Confrontation, or what is it?
Confrontasa Sofrian Waki.
Yes, Waki. What does Waki mean? I don't know.
It's
Polish.
I forget. Yeah, it's Polish. I think the exact translation is something confrontational fighting or something is how it translates. I don't remember. But yeah, I mean, both the guys that started it, one was a boxing promoter, one was a hotel manager for the Marriott, and he always did his conferences and stuff at the hotel. And they ended up Martin Lewandowski. They ended up partnering together, and it's like, hey, let's make our own MMA promotion. It's kind of.
I was talking to another MMA fan. He's from Europe himself. He was from Germany. I was just in an MMA chat room just talking to him, and he was like, "Dude, you have no idea how huge KSW is in Europe."
Oh,
I did. I had no idea.
It's huge. It's huge. It's the biggest promotion in Europe, by far, absolutely. Especially since they started veering out. Their first several events, they were only in Poland, and that I think maybe KSW 43 or something, they went to Dublin, Ireland, and then KSW 50 they went to England. So they've always been kind of in Poland. And actually talked to Martin Lewandowski through translation and stuff. So that's kind of cool. He's just one of the owners of KSW, and he's like, I didn't want to go too fast. He said that's what always happens if you look at the downfall of organizations, is they kind of spread out too fast. We have a base here. The UFC has good control in North America. You don't want to just take your time and grow. He wants to eventually get in North America, maybe in the next couple of years, New York, Chicago, just do a show or something just to bring it over to
a KSW fight in Chicago would be a dream come true for you.
Yeah. Oh, dude, absolutely. But yeah, I mean, that would be amazing, but they're like, we don't want to move too fast. We want to build up our talent, and that you can already see it's kind of starting to happen with like Mateus Gamrot, who just went over to the UFC. Dracus Duplessis, who just went over to the UFC.
Yeah, a lot of KSW guys are coming, and
it's the guy just kind of started.
He was telling me how big it was. He says, dude, you got to think when UFC comes on over here, it's like 6 a.m, but over here in primetime, it's KSW, so that's what we're watching.
Yeah, they're 6 hours. They're 6 hours ahead of us. So when our shows air here, when KSW airs, it's at 12 noon. But you got to think it's like 6 or 7, over there in Poland. Mm-hmm. So, I know their time better than our own time. Yeah, I mean, dude, it's crazy. It's so huge over there. And look at the people that have come. Joanna has fought over there. Jan Blachowicz, now a champion, come out of KSW. He was a KSW champion. So it's finally starting to snowball, where these things that we've talked about for years are finally starting to grow. And I think a few more years they'll keep snowballing and keep growing in Europe. And I could see an American show, maybe one, just in New York or Los Angeles or Chicago, something like that.
I think Chicago. I'm not doing this just for you, but I say Chicago would be a perfect venue for them because Chicago's huge Polish population.
Exactly, and that was one of the reasons. That was one of the places that Martin specifically said as a city was Chicago because of that. So yeah, I mean, it's a huge city. It's a huge tourist, attraction. The Polish population. So yeah, I mean, I can see the next couple of years. KSW. It's gonna be KSW 57. Dude, I'm looking forward to it. They got 3 title fights. Hey,
Yeah.
I mean, it used to be only Polish fighters. Now it's
It's
there's so many
everyone. I
fighters.
see a
There's
German
fighters from
fighter
all over the world. The main
from
event,
Czech.
Phil DeFries, the heavyweight champion, is from England. So I mean, it's starting to really kind of spread out as
Right.
far
It's
as
becoming this thing to where Pride, what Pride was, I think it's like the European
Yeah,
Pride almost.
it's
That
getting there.
when they
Yeah,
come to the UFC, you're like, oh man, he fought in Pride, so there's something to him. And now it's
right.
the 2020 version of that. Oh, he's
Yeah.
been a KSW. It means there's something behind him. So it's like KSW is like the new Pride almost, or it's getting
Yeah.
there at least.
Yeah, it's getting Ariana Lipsky, who's a strawweight in the UFC. She hadn't had the greatest record, but if you watch her fights, her nickname is the Violence Queen. So she's got that style, and she was the last strawweight champion in KSW. So and they have some girls right now that are fighting. One of them's a special forces ops in Poland. She's a sniper. And she's a just badass. She won her last fight, by decision, but she just totally dominated. I think it's Habina Jonah is her name. I'm trying to remember. I actually talked to her, but yeah, I mean, she's like a special forces sniper and stuff. So I mean, they're building up this talent. I mean, all over Europe. Yeah, like I said, it's kind of becoming what Pride was to that side of the world. KSW is really kind of taking over that torch in Europe.
Yeah, so let's go ahead and break down a few fights on this card. You said we got 3 title fights. Let's go ahead and talk about the first one. We got Anton. I hope I'm getting these names right. Like, we got letters that have lines through them that we never knew existed growing up. So we got Anton Racic, I think it is.
Racic.
All right. Versus Bruno Santos. What can you tell me about Racic?
I can tell you that my Polish and Czech is getting better than my English. Racic, he is actually their very first bantamweight champion. They never had a bantamweight champion. It's kind of an inaugural thing that he won. But I mean, the dude, he's a very solid fighter. I mean, this is gonna be like his 35th fight. I mean, the dude's been around for a while. I mean, I think his nickname is Killer. I mean, the dude, he's a tough dude. He can win. He's got multiple. Here lately it's been pretty much decisions. He's a grinder. He'll grind you. He'll push you. He'll push his pace. He'll control. His last fight was against Damian Stasiak, who's kind of the same way. So that was very interesting to see that one. That was in like sometime last year. But Stasiak is the same way, where they're both kind of really grinding type fighters. And Racic pulled out the victory, and he's good. He's very, very tough grinding type fighter.
Mm-hmm. All right, so let's go ahead and go to the lightweight. Man, you're gonna have to help me out with this name. It's Marian Zayakowski. Am I saying that right? Marian Zayakowski versus Roman
Zalakowski.
Okay.
Yeah, Roman Szymanski. Yeah.
Roman
Szymanski. Both of these guys. This is for the a vacant title, which when Matiras Gamrot left and went to the UFC, he was actually the lightweight and the featherweight champion. He was champ. So, but Sadahin Parnas is the featherweight. He was the interim champion, so he just became he's an amazing fighter. He's like 21-year-old French fighter. Dude's an amazing fighter. He's gonna be one of those guys that's gonna jump over to the UFC and just be an absolute beast. But Parnassi, yeah, dude's a beast. These guys, Zawoski and Szymanski, have actually fought before, like 5 or 6 years ago in the Fight Global Nation or Fight Night Global or something. It's a smaller organization in Poland, and they actually fought for the vacant lightweight title. So it's kind of the same. It's kind of funny that they're kind of in the same situation for a vacant lightweight title, but just the next stage up. Roman lost his last fight, but he lost it to Gamrot, so he's almost getting another title shot. So I mean, he's been in there with some tough names. Zalowski, his nickname is the Golden Boy. He's danger. He's a very good fighter. Just danger striker. Let's see if we can find out who his last opponent was. I don't remember. Let's see who we got. Oh, he fought Gamrot. Let's see, when they fought in 2016, fight exclusive night. Yeah. Szymanski won that by unanimous decision. But I mean, they both had a handful of fights since then. So, it's always good when it's been that much of a time gap. This is KSW is a lot bigger stage than a Fight Night exclusive. That's, a very small, organization. That would be kind of like what PFL is here. To kind of translate it to the American, fans who may not know much about the Polish MMA scene. That would kind of be like two guys in PFL finally fighting in UFC. So it's like, so it's going to be, definitely good. That can definitely be fight of the night, two, just grinding fighters, both guys, very experienced. Both guys, have had several fights under their belt. So definitely looking forward to that one for sure.
All right. And in the main event, we got Phil DeFries versus Michael Keita. I think I'm saying that right.
Yeah. Mikhail Keita. Yeah. Phil DeFries. I mean, man, he fought in the UFC. He did
career resurgence right there.
Yeah, he did not have a good run at all. He come to KSW and he's been on a roll. He's 4-0, 5-0. I don't remember what it is, but I mean, one of those wins is against Tomas Narkun, who is the light heavyweight champion. Who many people considered him like the best fighter in KSW for a long time. He beat Mamed Khalidov twice, and then. Then at KSW 50 in London, Narkun wanted to try to go for champ. He was already light heavyweight champion, tried to take DeFries, and DeFries just finished him. DeFries is being a big guy. He's very dangerous on the ground. Man, I mean, he's just, like you said, a total career resurgence. Like just, totally reinvented himself coming to KSW. That one's definitely, I could see it ending in the first and second round really quick. Keita, he's only had one fight in KSW, but a lot of times that's all it kind of takes in the heavyweight division for KSW. It's a kind of a quick, they've even had guys come in, make their debut. KSW is a lot more welterweight, middleweight, where there's, Roberto Soldic, who I've said many times, and I'll keep saying that he is the best fighter outside of Bellator, UFC. Like Roberto Soldic is, if that guy makes a jump to the UFC, he is a future champion. This guy is a dangerous fighter. I mean, this dude is just an absolute dangerous fighter. But yeah, DeFries, I mean, he for heavyweight, man, he's looked really good. And I don't see any reason why, Keita would pose any problem to him right now.
All right. So that does it for KSW 57. Any other fight on there you want to talk about?
No, I mean, that's mainly the big thing. That, they're always pretty good about getting at least 2 or 3 title fights. They do a fight about every 5 or 6 weeks, so they kind of, they do a good job kind of spacing it out. They're just kind of in a studio in Lutz, Poland right now, kind of dealing with the same thing. Right. I've talked to Yurko Yoon, who is a heavyweight he fights for KSW. He's Belgian. He said, it's not as bad there as it is here in America. But, they're still taking all the proper precautions and, just kind of doing all that. One other fight, Boris Mankowski and Artur Sawinski.
Why do I know that name, Boris Mankowski? That name sounds super familiar to me.
They're both previous KSW lightweight champions, and they're fighting in a lightweight battle. So they never fought against each other, and they're both former champions. So that's definitely going to be a good bout that I'm gonna be interested in, knowing the background of these guys. Both of them have like 30+ pro fights. I mean, both these guys are, Boris Mankowski, I think he ended up losing the title in middleweight. I think he was a middleweight champion and ended up dropping down. He lost to KSW 39. Their big show to Mamed Khalidov, which I think they had it was like the second highest attended MMA fight in history. Like a lot of people don't know that, that Pride event where they had, whatever 70, 80,000 whatever people they said they had. KSW had like 59,000 people for this KSW 39 event, the second most attended MMA event in history. Yeah, I mean, both of these guys, like I said, former champions, so I'm really looking forward to that battle there.
All right. So that does it. Before we get out here, let's talk about the Fisties. I guess I ain't calling it the Fisties. I don't want to call it the Fisties, but I got no other name for it. I'm gonna have to make these people a trophy. But anyways, it's our AYS Fight Club year-end awards where we're looking at local pro fighter of the year. This is all for like Texas, Louisiana, Mississippi, Alabama, everybody along the Gulf Coast. If your state touches the Gulf of Mexico, you're included in this. So yeah, it's all about them. We got the pro fighter, we got the amateur fighter of the year, fight of the year, fight team of the year. Am I missing one?
We got rookie of the year.
Rookie of the year.
We got KO of the year, submission of the year, and we got MMA organization of the year. Yeah.
There you go. So if you want to vote, please go vote. We're putting the polls up. The polls will close the week of New Year's. So our last show of the year, we'll be saying these awards. We won't be talking about much else unless like a major headline drops, but we'll be giving out these awards. I want to send like these winners something, but I don't know what yet, but we'll get to that later. So please follow AYS Sports on Facebook. That's where we're posting the polls. Please go support your local fighters. Vote. They deserve it.
And so far, the polls are doing amazing. I know Blake's watching. He can attest to it. He sees the numbers. These posts are killing it. Everyone's being, really active, sharing them, getting involved in it. It's doing amazing so far. So everybody just keep it up. We'll keep sharing it. The fighters are doing an amazing job of, sharing it on their ends, people getting involved voting. So, it's doing amazing so far.
Right.
These guys deserve it. So, this is the least we can do for them. Give them that recognition that they absolutely deserve.
Yeah, please. We are very local fighter oriented. We love our local boys. So please support them. Please, please, please. All right. So that does it for us for tonight. Next week, I don't know what's going on next week. The MMA world never stops turning. So there's going to be obvious headlines coming out. So please stay tuned. And please remember the first rule of AYS Fight Club. Matt, what is that rule?
Tell all your friends about AYS Fight Club.
That's it. All right, everybody. We will see you next week. Be good. Stay out of trouble. Tune in and vote. Go vote. We won't give you an I voted sticker, but we'll do something